Take times, Danker thoughts, sweet vibes and taking it sleazy. The dankness is taking over, nonsense is dancing through his mind. Oh, the dankness is taking over. Dank times, Danker thoughts with Angelo.
Man, no matter how many times I hear that song, I still love it. I love it as much as the first time I first heard that jingle. But yeah, welcome to episode number 54. 54, my God, where does the time go? Definitely doesn't go into preparing for this podcast. I have a generic list, of topics that I want to talk about, but I like to go off script every now and then. And, I got to tell you a quick story here. Before I recorded today, I was outside sneaking in some yard work in between the rain and the wind and the just gloomy weather. We had a pocket of sunshine, and I thought, ooh, I get to go outside. I have this little tree I need to cut up with the chainsaw. I have some trimming I need to do, some shrubs. And I could maybe mow my front yard, which is very small. So I thought I could get all three of these things done in about a half hour. Well, I didn't prepare for the battles I would have with Mother Nature. Specifically, the bees. Now, I love bees, very much so. I worry about them tremendously because they're dying out at an alarming rate, but most people under the age of 40 know this, so that's not a big news. I try to plant as many plants, shrubs, trees, flowers, whatever, that attract bees, hummingbirds, butterflies, that kind of things. I want a lot of, I want a lot of nature. I want a lot of the ecology around me. I like that stuff. Well, some of the plants that I was trimming were some of these plants that bees were just loving. And I thought, I can sneak in, zip, 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 and they'll be done. Well, I had my electric trimmer out, and it was a running, and a motherfucking bee stung me right on the underside of my right arm. Very tender there. Very pale and tender. And it stung me, and I dropped the electric trimmer, and the electric trimmer hit my bare calf because I was wearing shorts. Luckily, in the millisecond of me dropping it because of the pain from the bee sting and it dropping and hitting my calf, most of the momentum of the blade stopped. So it did nick me, but it wasn't a bad cut. I have a little bit of a little bit of a wound, I guess. But even saying wound sounds dramatic. I didn't bleed or anything, so I don't think wound is a good adjective. I have a little cut, but it looks more like I have a bad rub, like an Indian burn, or I know you can't say that anymore, but the equivalent of a bad rug burn. And Jesus, those bees. And then after that one stung me, I was actually mad at the bee because I know the bee's gonna die. And I thought, fuck, man, if you would have just let me finish trimming that one bush, you would have had a more area to, navigate through, little bee. But instead, you were impatient and you freaked out and you stung me. Now, I have been trimming plants my entire, walking life, My father's an avid gardener, and I've been pruning and trimming in his yards, really since I could walk. Now that I have my own massive yard, I'm always outside, trimming, keeping up the maintenance and whatnot, and I have never been stung by a bee doing that. Never. In my 30 odd years of gardening, never once have I been stung by a bee gardening. I've been stung by bees and hornets and wasps and all that other shit, but never gardening. Oh, but it was a close call because I immediately thought, well, there goes my leg. And then I realized I was being a little bit dramatic. I think even if the edge trimmer was on high and it hit my calf, I think I would have bled a little bit, but I wouldn't have, needed a peg leg like a goddamn pirate for the rest of my life. No. Now, maybe the chainsaw, but even the chainsaw is kind of a little small Black & Decker one. I don't think that would have done any damage, but it got me thinking, if I had to lose a limb or a body part, which one would it be? I would have to say it would have to be one of my legs. I couldn't lose either of my hands. and I'm right dominant. So maybe some of you are thinking, well, just lose your less dominant arm. Nah. I do a lot of shit with my left hand, and I can't be losing it. I would argue losing the right hand wouldn't be that bad because I am so fixated on the right. I feel I could learn to adapt quicker with my right hand than if I lost my left hand. I would never use it. Even if I got a really cool, Terminator looking robotic hand on the left, I don't think I would be able to do much with it. But if I got the Luke Skywalker special on my right hand, I could, it wouldn't feel any different. Now, masturbating would be quite a journey because I don't think they perfected those robotic hands in terms of the texture. I don't think I got the human skin texture down. So if you're cupping your dick and balls with a metallic hand, I don't know, that's got to get cold. I guess you could mess around with it and wear gloves or something, or mittens, or if you get some really nice gloves like sheep's wool or what are those camel-looking motherfuckers? Alpacas, chinchillas. You get some nice fur, and then you rubbing your dick on that. I think that's okay. Now, women I'd feel bad for because you can't really... I guess a woman could still masturbate with a metallic hand. Yeah, I feel like that would affect men more than women. I think women would just be like, yeah, whatever. Not a big deal. But anyway, I feel bad for the bee dying. I am seeing frogs all over the place. And I tried saving a moth the other day, but the poor bastard just wasn't meant to make it. The poor son of a bitch. And, in this vein of animals, I just finished a very good documentary series by James Cameron, the Avatar director. The whales, something about whales. Yeah, it's a really good recommendation. James Cameron Whales. I don't remember the exact title, but it's brand new on Disney Plus. I think it's 4 episodes. The first episode was about orcas. The second episode was about narwhals and belugas. The third episode was about humpbacks. And the last episode was about sperm whales, which are now my favorite whales. I love orcas. I really do. They were my childhood favorite animal, and I still love them, but holy shit. Those orcas are fucking savage. It breaks my heart, and it breaks me down to my genetic core when I see orcas killing a dolphin or a baby whale. If I see one killing a penguin or a walrus or a polar bear or a seal, I don't really give a fuck. But if I see one killing another whale or dolphin or porpoise, or, I saw one killing a sea otter, and I'm like, you motherfuckers, come on, man. But I can't blame the orcas because, hey, they gotta eat to survive. Nature is a cruel thing. And that's how I know there's no God. What kind of just and loving God would make all things feel pain? For the most part, I don't think single-cell organisms feel pain. Maybe they do. Maybe their pain is something different, but I don't know. I can't ask any single-cell organisms how it feels. I'd have to go to D.C. and talk to Mitch McConnell. A zing! But no, why would you have to feel pain to die? Why can't your body do the same thing but without the pain? Because I understand pain is telling your body, hey, fight or flight, baby. This is game time. This is crunch time. Zing again! I got you another zing. Yeah, man, if you really want to see some horrific nature, watch a bear eat anything that's alive. Bears, what's another? Wolverines, badgers. Orcas. They just start taking chunks out of things regardless if they're dead. At least the big cats do you the service of, biting your neck, making it somewhat quick. And at least an alligator or a crocodile will try to drown you. But, watch a grizzly bear catch an elk, and it just starts taking chunks out. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, man. What kind of just God would allow the evolutionary habits of a bear to just bam, break its back with its paw and just start taking chunks out? But the fact remains, if there is a God and he allows animals to feel pain like that, that's one of the many gripes I have with God. And if and when I die and I get to talk to the he, she, it, them, they, they, whatever God is, first question I have is, hey, where have you been the last 5,000 years? Second of all, hey, fuck you with the free will. Third, hey, what the fuck is with nature? Why is it so awful? And where's all the miracles? How come there hasn't been a legit miracle in like thousands of years? What, the last motherfucker to do a miracle was that motherfucker Moses in Egypt making a cane of snake and shit? Or is that Noah? No, Noah was the motherfucker with the ark. Jesus, I gotta stop saying motherfucker. Yeah, Mother Teresa, she's not doing any miracles. Joel Osteen, the only miracle that he's doing is making his bank account rise and rise. What the fuck am I talking about? Oh, Christ. Let's move on to the first topic. The Seattle Mariners. Somehow, some way, the shitty team that is the Seattle Mariners are still, I think as I record this, we're 1 game under 500 and 4 games out of the playoffs. Now, true, we need to cool it a bit because we're only a third of the way through the season. And I believe we are the second or third worst hitting team in the majors. And our pitching ain't that much better. Our bullpen is I thought it was worse than they actually are. I mean, I still think that our bullpen is trash and we only really have 2 or 3 good relievers. And our starting rotation is iffy at best because our best pitcher is pitching like garbage this year, Gonzalez. I don't know what his problem is. Sheffield really hasn't taken the next step. And I like Justin Dunn, but so far he still is having control issues, and I think he's getting pretty lucky. Because I'm looking at his numbers, and he should have a higher ERA than he actually does. Flexen's been a surprise, same with Kikuchi, although they're both up and down as well. So, and out of that rotation, I really don't know who should be guaranteed a spot next year. And I forget about the prospect, Gilbert, who is pitching better and better each time he's out there, but, he still is not a finished product. So, yeah, I guess I could kind of give the Mariners a report card, in my opinion, anyway, of the 2021 season. And I kind of just covered the pitching. It sucks that we lost Paxton, but it's honestly not that much of a surprise. Graveman has probably been the biggest bullpen pitching surprise. And I would say the best surprise starting pitching is either Flexen or Kikuchi, the worst being Gonzalez and Sheffield. And, just speaking overall of prospects and where they should be, Gonzalez is no longer a prospect. He hasn't been a prospect in at least 3 seasons. So he does not look like a number 1. He does not look like a number 2 to me. He looks like a number 3. Now, maybe he'll figure it out. Maybe he's still a little rusty from the injury, maybe, but his control is concerning. Like I said, Sheffield, it looks like a number 6 or 7 starter at best. Dunn, to me, looks like a 5 or possibly a 4. Flexen looks like a 4, and Kikuchi kind of looks like a 4 or a 5. So I really don't see a number 1, and you could maybe put Gonzalez at number 2, Kikuchi number 3, Flexen 4, and then you could put a Gilbert or a Sheffield 5, but I know we have a 6-man rotation right now, so, it's too early to really guarantee anybody a spot, and I would say the same thing with the bullpen, although I gotta applaud the 2 pickups of Charjoys and Sewald, the old man from the Mets. Since we lost Graveman, they've been really good, but Middleton and Montero and those other jabronis, I'm not really liking them. Vest is up and down. And, those poor bastards that we throw out there, Miskevich or Duger or some other jabronis, I mean, they don't stand a chance. I mean, sometimes that bullpen, I don't think, could beat most college teams. They don't look like they're big leaguers. Now, the offense, as I stated before, we have a bottom 3 offense outside of a surging J.P. Crawford and Mitch Haniger for the most part, and Ty France, who sprinkles in every now and then. Our offense has been pretty dreadful. Seager every now and then comes up with a home run, but, he's hovering around 220. You'd like him to be a little bit higher. But saying that, I gotta say, I would re-sign Mitch Haniger immediately, and I think Mitch Haniger is probably deserving of a 15 to 17 to $18 million a year contract because, I mean, what is he hitting? 260, and he's 15 or 16 home runs, I believe. I mean, I should have the stats up, but I don't. He absolutely is going to make the All-Star game, as he should, and the fact he's doing all this after missing almost 2 full seasons of baseball is crazy. And he needs to be on the team. You can't keep trading away your budding stars for future prospects. Sooner or later, you got to acknowledge what you have, pay them accordingly, and move on to other positions. And a little hot take here, but I don't really see any prospects in the near future, meaning a season or two, that are going to take over third base for Seager. So I would, at the very least, approach Kyle Seager with a contract extension. But you can't pay him $15 million next year. He's only hitting 220. Now, true, he looks like he's on pace to hit middle 30s home runs, and he's going to get his RBIs, and he's no longer the fielder he once was, but I would still say he's an above average third baseman. And he is a leader, and you want to have good ball players like that around a young team. But at $15 million, he needs to have a better average and on base. His on base has got to be at least 340, 350 for me to pay someone that much money. And I understand with baseball being the way it is, you don't have the crazy high batting averages. The years of having a dozen or so players hitting over 350 or 20 or so batters having over 40 home runs, those days are gone. You're really only going to have 12 or so players that are going to be in that top level. And so you have to really understand when you look at a 260 average, if you adjust it with, inflation or steroid inflation, whatever you want to call it, a 260 average really is closer to a high 280 or 290. So even Seager's 220 average, you could say that's, well, it could be more like a 240 or 250, but even that, his on base is below 280 last I checked. That's no good. But you also need to have those veteran leaders there. So I would approach him with an extension, but maybe 12 million, 10 million. And he may want to see what else is out there. And you have to begrudge him that. But at least let him know you're interested, but not at 15 million. But speaking of the prospects on the offensive side, it's been a very, very bad beginning for Kellenic. They had to send his ass down, which, hey, he looked the part, and he looked the part out in the field and on the base paths, but at the plate, it was just getting worse and worse and worse. I think he's going to do okay. Everyone keeps using Mike Trout as the comparison. Well, Mike Trout only hit 180 when he was up here or whatnot, but yeah, not everyone's Mike Trout. Same thing with the first baseman, drawing a blank on his name, but he's been on the DL forever. Eli something? I don't know. I can't think of the guy's name. Who the fuck is our first baseman? LaFonda, do you know? Yeah, well, you know who I'm talking about, peeps. We really don't have a second baseman. We're just cycling through. We have a Walton. We have a Mayfield. We got brought Shed Long back up. Dylan Moore was trash. Shortstop, it really looks like it's J.P. Crawford, and he's here to stay. I mean, he is hitting like 400 over the last week and a half or 2 weeks or so. And even though the free agent class and this upcoming free agency is going to be insane, I think you can still sign one of those high free agent players. And you could either put him at second, you can move Crawford to second, whatever. So you have some flexibility. Third, like I said, it's still Seager, but he's not really a prospect. We really don't have a catcher either. I know one of our top prospects is a catcher, and he is having a damn good season at AAA, but he needs a little bit more seasoning. We've rushed so many prospects, but especially the catching position with the Jeff Clements and the Mike Zaninos of the world, and was Ben Davis? No, we traded for Ben Davis, but that's an old one. So in the outfield, I feel like we have a gluttony of outfield prospects, but which one? Give me one right now that looks like they belong in the majors. And I love, love, love Kyle Lewis. He's my favorite Mariner on this team. But the poor bastard can't stay healthy, and it's very upsetting. And when I heard what happened with his latest injury, I'm not going to lie, I cried a little bit, you know. He's everything this team and this city, this organization needs. And you just don't know what you can count on. So I'm hoping the injury's not as bad. I'm hoping that he'll either make it by the end of the season if he needs to. If we're out of contention, there's no point, then no. I'd rather him be healthy next year and cross your fingers in 2022. Kellenic, you know, didn't look too good on his first cup of coffee, but you know he's going to be brought back. Trammell, again, he shows flashes every now and then, but it's not consistent. Fraley has kind of come out of nowhere, and he's looking pretty good. And he gets on base like a motherfucker. He's got more walks than hits, which is crazy. And what other outfielders? I guess Ty France isn't really an outfielder, but I can talk about Ty France. I don't even know if you can consider him a prospect. I kind of consider him more of a J.P. Crawford. Well, I guess he's a last generation, oldest generation prospect on this team, but he looks like he's here to stay, but he doesn't really have a position. We've tried him at third and second, doesn't look good, and he looks okay at first, but do you want to give up on your first baseman prospect, which, oh God, why can't I think of his name? Let me look that up here. Mariners first baseman player. I know I'm going to think of it right when before I see it here. Evan White. Yes, Evan White. Do you want to give up on Evan White? I don't know. You also have the DH position you can kind of cycle through, but I don't know, man. So overall, I'm surprised with how the Mariners are really sticking in it. We seem to just hang around, but I really don't think we're that good of a team. I think that they're equivalent of the Seattle Seahawks last year. The Seahawks, sure, 12-4 last year, but really, half of our wins were nail biters that we won at the last second. You know, we weren't that good of a team. So I fully expect the Seattle Mariner team, like most Seattle Mariner teams, to kind of hover around 500 and maybe go on the skids every now and then. You know, we had a 8-game losing streak, but then we won 5 games in a row. Then we took a next series. So I think that's going to continue for a while. I'm not looking to make the playoffs. I'm not looking for us to be in any kind of contention like that at all. But what I'm looking for is progress from these prospects. I want to see growth. I want to see even the players that, you know, you took them for granted maybe that they were here to stay. You want to see them get better. I want to see Seager get better, Gonzalez get better. I want to see if Haniger can get out of some of these slumps that he gets in. I want to see if Kellenic comes back and figures it out. And Jesus Christ, I wanted to know how bad Kyle Lewis's injury is. So overall, I got to give the Mariners a B+ overall this season. When you look at the prospects, if you have to grade all the prospects, I got to give them like a C+, a C. You know, if I really think about it, maybe even a C-, but it's definitely not a B or an A. Not quite an F or a D. It's definitely a C. You are seeing growth in players like Crawford and Dunn, but you're also kind of seeing stagnation from players like a Sheffield, I forgot the guy's first baseman. I forgot his fucking name already. Evan White. Jesus Christ. And the fact that we don't really have a second outfielder to pair with Haniger that's proven, or a catcher, or a second baseman. But it's still early. That's why I'm giving it a flat C sounds good. But last thing I'll say about sports before we move on to some updates with my single life, which is I give the Seahawks an A+ for not trading for Julio Jones. I think that would have been stupid. If you want to trade for somebody, trade for someone on the defensive line. Maybe call the Chicago Bears and see what they want for Akeem Hicks. Akeem Hicks he's 32, I believe, 33, 32, and he's making over $10 million. But he is a pass rushing, run stuffing, defensive tackle, and he could easily take over for the loss of Jaron Reed, which nobody's talking about. Everyone's like, oh, we have Carlos Dunlap back. Oh, that's crazy. Well, cool. You know what? You lost Jaron Reed, who was an anchor on that defensive line for years, and he was taken for granted because he doesn't play a sexy position like the exterior pass rusher. So I don't know how Poona Ford's going to be as a starter. I mean, a number one starter. I know we brought in Al Woods, but again, he's 35. So I don't know why we shouldn't be calling the Chicago Bears saying, hey, we'll give you a fourth or fifth rounder for Akeem Hicks. Bring him to camp. Bring him to camp. The guy is good. Look his stats up. If we traded for Julio Jones, I would have lost my shit. And not in the good way. So, but yeah, let's continue on here to some dating updates. Sad update, really. Of single life. I think I talked last podcast about a girl I just started to kind of see. We weren't labeling anything, but she was my lady friend, and I was her guy friend, I suppose. And we went on a couple dates. I don't exactly remember how many, but I think at least 5 or 6. And relatively short amount of time, but we did see each other quite long in those dates. And, unfortunately, the more we saw each other and the more we got to know one another, I was not feeling a real spark or a real connection. I wasn't feeling a vibe. It's kind of the best way I can describe it. I just wasn't feeling that we were gelling. And I thought it was reciprocated because I started to see that she was kind of getting more passive around me, more kind of spatial, and I thought, okay, so this is mutual. After our last dinner that we had together at this really good Kenyan restaurant in Kent, it was really good. I had goat. I haven't had goat since I was a kid. That shit was fire. A little fatty, but it was good. See, I'm kind of a pussy in the sense that I don't like meat on the bone. Like, I don't like holding bone and gristle and fat and cartilage and eating the meat around it. I know my ancestors are looking down at me and just saying, ugh, what a pussy. But I am what I am. This life has made me soft and cushiony, like Snorlax, but... Anyway, it was a fun dinner, but I could just tell that we weren't really... we weren't seeing eye to eye. And we talked about it afterwards, and to my kind of surprise, she said that she was shocked that I was telling her that I wasn't feeling a connection. I wasn't sure about the relationship. And I told her that I thought it was mutual, and she said, well, I was only acting that way because I was picking up on your vibes. And I thought, oh, shit. If that's the case, then, that's no good. I didn't know I was being so obvious, I was still kind of figuring things out, but the more we talked about it and the more I thought about it, and I just was thinking, it's good that we're having this honest talk now, and it's good that we're out in the open about this so early because, if you just keep staying in something, hoping that it gets to a certain point, and it never happens, you're just kind of spinning your tires in the mud, so to speak, and that's not fair to her. It's a terrible thing to tell someone that you're not feeling a connection, whereas they tell you, well, I feel a connection with you, very much so. That's so unfair, That's where you just want to stick the middle finger to God or to whatever God controls love and relationships and courtship and whatnot. Is how can one person feel something and the other person not feel it really at all? It's shitty. Yeah, it's tough. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate having those talks. I've had too many of them. And I can look back the first time that I was told that by a girl that I just adored. I really liked this girl. We went out about 3 or 4 dates, and then I went over to a house that she was house sitting for. And I really thought, like, holy shit, this is really going to work. She's great, And after our 4th date or so, we were talking on the phone, and she told me that she's not feeling the butterflies in my stomach feeling with me. And I lost my shit. I was an asshole, but I wasn't like a major asshole to her. On the scale of 1 to 10, I was probably a 4. But internally, I was like raging. Mount Vesuvius level of eruption, level of anger and wrath. Oh, what do you mean? Butterflies in your stomach? This ain't no fucking Hollywood movie. You know, this ain't When Harry Met Sally, bitch. You know, all that shit. And I remember asking her, well, what do you mean you don't have that feeling? Do you like hanging out with me? Yeah. Do you find me attractive? Yeah. Do you want to see me again? Yeah. Well, then what are you talking about? And I thought it was so childish. I thought it was just a woman who was being very immature about things and acting like she was waiting for Prince Charming, like from a Disney movie. And I thought, no, 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 no. You're almost 30. I think I was 28. Yeah, we were both roughly, I think we were at that age. 27, 28? I don't know. And yeah, I thought she was very out of line and immature, and I thought I dodged a bullet. And now that I'm a little bit older, I've been in a few relationships since that time, and I have definitely felt the butterflies in my stomach. But unfortunately, this time it was not that, and she did feel that with me, and it's shitty, and I'm sorry. So that's the update. I haven't been on the apps in a while, so just the thought of getting back on the dating apps just my skin crawls. But I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, so I'm hoping for the best, and I wish her the best as well. Anyway, let's move on to some happier things. Jeff Bezos is going into outer space, or so he and the media hype around it would like you to think. He's not actually going into outer space in one of his rockets. What he's actually going to do is go to the lowest level of the atmosphere that's just above, like, I believe breathable oxygen, I think, or something that I read somewhere. So he's just hovering in the lowest level of the atmosphere, is my understanding, in his penis-shaped rocket. Yeah, I know that he would like to create a whole market around rich people going into outer space for a couple of minutes and coming back down. You know, this whole idea of interplanetary travel ain't happening in our lifetime, but just how out of touch can you be? Especially this shit coming out. LaFonda, chill. I know you're concerned about Jeff Bezos going into outer space. I don't know why he's going either. You know, maybe he's going back home to see some family. Fuck if I know. But I think we can start the Cunt of the Week segment here. And since we're speaking of Jeff B there, I implore all of you, all 5 of you who listen to this podcast, to check out the ProPublica report about the secret IRS files of the billionaires and how they avoid income tax. And I'll just read a tiny bit here, a tiny bit. ProPublica has obtained a vast trove of Internal Revenue Service data on the tax returns of thousands of the nation's wealthiest people, covering more than 15 years. The data provides an unprecedented look inside the financial lives of America's titans, including Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Rupert Murdoch, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk. It shows not just their income and taxes, but also their investments, stock trades, gambling winnings, and even the results of audits. Taken together, it demolishes the cornerstone myth of the American tax system that everyone pays their fair share and the richest Americans pay the most. The IRS records show that the wealthiest can, perfectly legally, pay income taxes that are only a tiny fraction of the hundreds of millions, if not billions, their fortunes grow each year. Many Americans live paycheck to paycheck, amassing little wealth and paying the federal government a percentage of their income that rises if they earn more. I have been doing this since I was 18, and I'm 34, so what is that, 16 years? Shit, is it 16 years? God damn. In recent years, the median American household earns about $70,000 annually and paid 14% in federal taxes. The top 25 people saw their wealth rise a collective $401 billion from 2014 to 2018. They paid a total of $13.6 billion in federal income taxes in those 5 years. That's staggering sum, but it amounts to a true tax rate of only 3.4%. So we're paying at least 14, they're paying 3.4. It's crazy, to summarize it. So I recommend everyone read it. Everyone in that article is a cunt that avoids taxes. And I understand the billionaires are only playing the game that the American tax system allows them to play. And it's no surprise that with such income inequality in this country that, of course, the billionaires and the banks, basically, let's face facts, the billionaires, the banks, effectively are running things here. And it's sickening. Imagine if things were done correctly, but who knows what correctly is anymore? Everyone has a difference of an opinion. To continue with this pro-Republica story, it's been getting a lot of hype, it's getting a lot of coverage, it's heating people up, and the Biden administration spoke out about it. You would think they'd be praising the article, saying, you know what, this is unacceptable, I'm going to make it a point in my administration to really start taxing the rich. Ha! Psych! He didn't say shit! The Biden administration actually said that they want to investigate how the leak happened. These fucking assholes, they don't care about the substance, they want to know how did a story leak to the press. Oh, you mean how are journalists doing their jobs? Good journalists, not the ones who just try to play us against one another. You know, I was listening to a really good interview by The Hill, interviewing Matt Taibbi, and he was saying, I don't know how any journalist, when writing a story, can look it over and say, this is really going to upset the audience, this is going to be great, or this is really going to piss off a section of the country, that's going to be great. Like, if you're looking at your reporting, if you look at all that and as a way to inflame or say, oh, this is going to piss off the libs, this is going to piss off the right, that's not journalism. That's not. I believe a true journalist doesn't look at sides. They write the story. They don't have a bias, and if they have an opinion on there, I think that they are going to state it. Like, this is personally my opinion, blah. But here are the facts, and you can make what you want with it. If it pisses people off on the left, pisses people off on the right, so be it. But as long as you don't have that as an ambitious goal, that's what makes you a true journalist. So, pro-Republica, I hope you keep it up. I'm going to support you. I'm going to see if I can start donating money, and I hope that you don't get shut down by the government. Continuing with cunts of the week in the government, any of the 11 House Democrats that thought it was smart or showing fake patriotism by objecting to Ilhan Omar's comments on Hamas and Israel. Now, when the Senate and the House were trying to stop the sale of that $735 million weapons sale to Israel earlier this month, one of the most outspoken critics of the sale was Ilhan Omar. And this is what she tweeted. We have seen unthinkable atrocities committed by the U.S., Hamas, Israel, Afghanistan, and the Taliban. And for whatever reason, the right lost their fucking mind. Now, it's probably because she's black and Muslim and young. All she really said is that, you know, America has done atrocities as well. I don't think she was comparing America to terrorists when she said that, or I mean, when she tweeted that. And plus, it's also a fucking tweet. Who cares? But what's shocking to me was that some Democrats freaked out about it. 11 of them in the House. And I'm not going to name you the names, but they're fucking morons. And if you think America hasn't committed atrocities, then you need to look at American history. Just look how this country was founded. And if I remember correctly, the right did not freak out when Donald Trump said the same fucking thing to Bill O'Reilly, 4 years ago after he got inaugurated. Bill O'Reilly was asking him questions about, should you speak so nicely about Russia? They're killers. And Trump said, so what? We're killers. We have killers. What, you don't think we have killing in our history? And no one on the right batted an eye. Of course, some Democrats did. But now it just flipped because now this is the narrative now. So all Ilhan Omar said is common sense, historical fact. America has done some shit that's fucking awful. And you know what? So has Israel. So has Hamas. So has the Taliban. So has Germany. So has Russia. So has China. So has every country that's still around. That's just how it is. Unfortunately, she called it out. Holy shit. It's almost like she said Hitler had some good points. Get out of here. I know, LaFonda, you're an Omar fan as well. I know. And it doesn't help that she's a young black Muslim. I think maybe if Liz Cheney said it, no one would give a shit. Well, maybe they would, but not as much. So, fuck you, 11 House Democrats that had to object and release a statement. But the last cunt of the week is the company of Disney. Now, I will talk shit about Disney again and again and again. But I'm always quick to point out that I'm a hypocrite because I love me some Disney. In fact, let me talk about the TV show Loki. It finally came out and it lived up to my expectations. I love the Loki character. I love Tom Hiddleston's take on the Loki character. And I like the style of the show. I like Owen Wilson. God, I'm just super excited for the show. And I was so excited to watch it. And I did. And it was so good. So, I will talk shit here a little bit about Disney. But just know, Disney, I'm still sucking that teat, baby. Give me some more content. I will suck your nipple dry. Speaking of, I'm kind of thirsty here. Got myself a nice new water bottle. I put down some cheddar on. I think it's like a $40 water bottle because I'm a stupid mook who decided to spend $40 on a stupid water bottle because I need the finer things. Anyway, Disney reprimanded Taika Waititi, one of their best directors that's directed the Marvel movies in the last 5 years. I mean, Thor Ragnarok was amazing, and he's directing the sequel. And Taika Waititi is one of my favorite directors, at least one of the newer directors. I've seen almost all of his movies. In fact, let me pull him up here and I'll tell you which ones I have not seen. But the reason Disney reprimanded him is that, Taika Waititi is kind of known as a party boy. He likes to drink, he likes to fuck, he likes to party, he likes the life. And he's a hilarious guy, he's good looking, so let him have some fun. I don't understand what the big deal is, and I think Disney knew that when they hired him. So it was kind of a shock to me when there was a Instagram post of him with alleged girlfriend Rita Ora, which, Taika, great catch. Wow, Rita Ora is fine as hell. Anyway, there was a Instagram post of those two kissing Tessa Thompson, who also was in the Marvel movies, and she's in a bunch of stuff. LaFonda, chill. I know you're a Tessa Thompson fan. She was in the Creed movies. LaFonda, damn, you haven't been on the podcast in a while, and you're really showing your presence here. Yeah, stay cool, bitch. I don't know why they even had a comment on it. And the rumor is that they got pressure from China and pressure from other international territories, such as the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, where, you know what, they're just not as friendly to the LGBTQAnon as we are here in this country. So there's a reason why it's Pride Month, and you will look at international companies. You go on their social media as to their other territories, and they all have the little rainbow flag emblem, except in the China one, except in the Middle East, and except in other Eastern European countries where, you know what, just don't be gay there. It's that simple. It really is a choice over there, don't you know? At least according to our last president. So that picture got out. Who gives a fuck, right? My first thought was Taika Waititi is the man. He should be playing James Bond. How great would a James Bond would Taika Waititi be? But instead, they were furious, and Disney pulled him in and reportedly dressed him down. And it's just, come on. This ain't the 1950s Mayberry, okay? So go fuck yourself, Disney. Will I still support you? Yeah. Yes, I will. Will I also keep bitching about you and your weird relationship with China? Yeah, I will. But, I mean, Taika Waititi, he can do no wrong, man. What We Do in the Shadows, one of the best comedies of the last 10 years. And, no, I don't want to see him as an actor. I want to see him as a director. There we go. I think I've seen all of his movies here, or all the major ones. Eagle vs. Shark I saw, Flight of the Conchords. I have not seen Boy, and that's supposed to be an excellent film. I've seen, let's see, What We Do in the Shadows. Hunt for the Wilder People was excellent. And then Thor Ragnarok was amazing. Jojo Rabbit, one of my favorite movies of 2019. And he directed an episode of The Mandalorian, huh? Oh, cool. And it looks like he's directing a couple other things. But yeah, so fuck you, Disney. Let Taika Waititi kiss whomever he wants. Let Tessa Thompson kiss whomever she wants. Who gives a fuck? And if you truly think showing a gay or lesbian kiss in a movie or television show would be that big of a deal, don't you kind of want to be on the right side of history and just do it? And then if China says, nope, 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 well, you know what? You're making probably enough money as is to just pull one movie from China. You know, if you want to have an Aunt May les kiss scene in the next Spider-Man movie and China or Saudi Arabia doesn't like it, well, it's fine. Don't release it there. You're still gonna make money. I just heard that, and I have no idea if this is true, but the latest Fast and the Furious movie made like 150 million on the opening weekend, but 130 of that was in China. Well, that's Fast and the Furious. Those movies fucking suck. I feel like the Disney movies, specifically Marvel, are going to smash that number, and you're going to make enough money here. And if you're not, just give it time. Movie theaters will be opening soon across the country. I would hope so. But anyway, I think we can wrap it up here. So yeah, those are the cunts of the week. Last thing I'll say, and then we can wrap it up here, is check out the new Burnham special on Netflix. I think I talked about it on the bonus episode, and it was better than I even expected it to be. I was expecting a pretty damn good show. I really was. And it was better than that. So good I've watched it twice. I've even downloaded the album because... I don't think I've seen a performance that perfectly encompasses how life is for my generation right now. Plus, just his sense of humor and his sense of style, and the fact that he did it all himself. I mean, if you don't know what it is, basically, Bo Burnham has intense anxiety. I don't know if he has depression. To me, it looks like it's obvious that he does, but I'm no expert. I don't know. But in this special, because he filmed it all in 2020, in the middle of COVID, he did everything himself. He created it, he directed it, produced it, acted. He did the costumes, he did the editing, the software. He did everything, the lighting, you name it. Set designs. And it's a masterpiece. It really is a masterpiece of... It's to say it's of comedic brilliance is... It sells it short a little bit because it's more than comedy. So I think on that, I think I can end it on that happy note. I may do another fucking bonus episode because there was a bunch of shit I didn't get to again. But yeah, 4th of July is coming up. Hope everyone's got some plans. I know I do. I'm going to head to Eastern Washington with some buddies, and we're going to stay for a couple days there. Somewhere in Eastern Washington, past Ephrata on the lake there. I'm drawing a blank. We went there last year, but I don't remember where it is. So, use your imagination. I'll figure it out in later podcasts. And yeah. One last thing I want to say before I wrap up is it's pretty fun not wearing a mask anymore in stores where that's allowed. And I'll be honest, I kind of told myself if anyone says anything or... if I'm getting looks, I may put it back on because I've been fully vaccinated for, I think, about a month now. Oh, fine, LaFonda, come here. I've been fully vaxxed now for a little over a month, I think. Yeah, why don't you just meow right into the camera? The microphone, you know what I meant. But this week was the first week that I have noticed the sign saying if you're fully vaccinated, feel free not to wear a mask. I took it off and it was so much fun. My glasses weren't fogging up when I'm looking at house plants, I mean, that's really all I want, and I can now smell the candles. Now I don't have to smell them through the face mask. Oh, it's the little things, people. You want to smell the produce before you buy it. It's things that you just missed, but some stores still have it, and I'm not throwing a tizzy fit like I see other people. But, it got to a point where I was almost looking for someone to say something. I told you I'm such an asshole. I was like, I hope someone instigates some shit. And then I'll really take them to fucking school. But, of course, that didn't happen because people aren't maniacs. like the media tells us they are. So yeah, I like not wearing a mask, but I'm still taking it in the stores because, sometimes you may see someone who's kind of fugly looking. You're like, you know what? I don't know if they have COVID-21 or COVID-25, but I'm going to wear a mask around them. Anyway, guys, I love y'all. Take it sleazy and don't do anything I wouldn't do. And yeah, see you around the bend.